Top of the morning to you guys. It's Wednesday. I have to be here at work. You guys get the day off. That's ridiculous. I got the text this morning after I bought bagels, by the way. I was going to bring them to class. It's going to be hard to eat all 24 bagels by myself. I'll do as best I can. No, actually, I'll just give them to my office. That's how that rolls. Maybe I'll bring them bagels another time. We'll see. I did get myself some coffee, though, which, as you know, is super important. I thought what I would do, even though we're not going to have class today, that I could record what I was going to cover in class. So you could still get the benefit of being in class, but not actually have to come to class. That's what I'm going to do. I don't know how this is going to roll. I got my mics rolling. I'm in my office, got my camera. So hopefully this will look okay and you guys can get something out of it. So one of the things we were going to cover today in class was, well, here, I'll just give you an agenda. Here's what I wanted to do. I wanted to talk about assignment submission, so give you guys a better understanding of how we're going to be sending me work, submitting assignments in Folio Tech, give you a better understanding of the purpose in Folio Tech. Those are things I wanted to do last week, but man, we didn't have enough time, so I didn't get to talk about them. So we'll talk about those today. I wanted to look at some of the submissions that you guys have already given me, some of the elevator pitches that have been submitted. We were going to review some of those, kind of do some dialogue and discuss what they looked like, how we could revise them to improve them. Can't really do that as a group today. I'm thinking maybe I might bring some up and go through some folks and just talk through them so you get some ideas on how they could be modified and changed. So then you, when you're constructing yours, can improve it. So I might do that. I want to talk a little bit about the career fair, which is coming up. I don't believe it's next Tuesday. Yeah, it's definitely not next Tuesday. It's the following Tuesday. So that means we'd have class next Wednesday to do some prep for the career fair. And I wanted to talk about the importance of the career fair. So then we talk about the career fair, and then I thought we would do a little bit of a lecture on personal branding and what that means. So I'll try to do all that in this video. I don't know how long it's going to be. I'm just going to keep talking, and I'll probably have to swap into some PowerPoints and show those to you. I'll edit all this sucker. This can probably take me 10 times the amount of work that would have been just to go to class and deliver this message. But you guys are worth it. All right, I got my PowerPoint up here. You guys can't see it, but I'll throw it in. Magically, you guys can probably see it right now. You know what I also wanted to do is get to know you guys a little bit better. That was going to be an intro to the class. That's not happening. So we'll squeeze that in next week too. First, let's talk about assignments, okay? And what the career fair means. So you have 4 assignments that I wanted you to do. You have to do the elevator pitch. You have to do the online introduction. You have to do the resume and the Folio Tech identity page. Now those 4 assignments, 2 of them are uber important to really fine tune and work on, spend more energy on. That would be your elevator pitch and your resume. And that's because the career fair is like in 2 weeks. So those are the 2 documents that employers, well, one's really not a document. The resume, you're going to have to hand to an employer. So that's going to have to be ready. And when they shake your hand and introduce themselves and say, "Hi, I'm Company X," and you're like, "Hi, my name's Jeff Lee, and I'm a senior," or whatever you're going to be saying, you need to have that pitch ready. So you need to work on that and have it defined and cleaned up. So you're giving them the right information that they want to hear. So those are the 2 most important assignments, and that's why today I'm going to run through a couple of elevator pitches that we have. We'll break them down and see if I can give you some instructions on how to bring some clarity and change the wording and improve them, or if you haven't written yours yet, give you some ideas on what you want to say so that you're ready for that, that big question. Tell me about yourself. It's the first question people ask. Tell me about yourself, because people really care about who you are. Again, it's who you are, not what you do. People care about who you are. Okay, so those are the 2 most important things that you need to have done. Now, you need to have them all done, but spend the most amount of energy on those. The good news is the online introduction isn't far from your elevator pitch. So you'll use the content of your elevator pitch to build your online introduction. Really, the difference between the online introduction and the elevator pitch is that with an elevator pitch, you can have a conversation with somebody. It's not just one way, at least it shouldn't just be one way. You might throw them 60 seconds, 90 seconds, maybe 120 seconds worth of information, but then you can leave it open-ended so you guys can have a dialogue back and forth. Whereas the online introduction isn't as easy to do that with. You do want to leave people wanting more with what you say in your online introduction. You want them to say, oh, wow, that was really interesting. I want to learn more about this individual, but you can't have a dialogue about it. It's all virtual, right? It's a virtual first impression, which we'll talk about in a later class. Elevator pitch, super important to have refined, and the resume, super important to have refined. That's the other thing, because if your resume is ugly, people aren't going to want to look at it. If it has errors, they're just going to throw it in the trash. You could be the best candidate in the world if you left out a period or misspelled a word. I mean, they're looking for reasons to exclude you, not include you. That's usually the case. They have stack 50, 100, 200 resumes. And this is if a person is actually looking at them, not some robot, some artificial intelligence entity reviewing resumes. But let's say it's a person, they have 50 of them to go through. They're looking for reasons to throw some in the trash and to keep some. So if there's a mistake in it, it's in the trash. If it's hideous and I don't want to consume it and I don't want to look at it because I'm like, ugh, this just hurts my brain to look at, then I'm throwing it in the trash. So visual matters, your grammar and punctuation matter, and then obviously content matters too. So you'll have to make sure your content is up to snuff. Now there's a ton of resources online on how to create a good resume. So I'm not going to spend time in class teaching you how to create a resume. I threw some resources inside of the assignments in Foliotech, so you have access to those. See those? There they are. So you have those resources inside of Foliotech, and there's more online, definitely more online. So use those, take advantage of it, and once you submit it to me, if I get final resumes early on in the week before the career fair, I'll try to throw some feedback into those as quickly as possible so you guys have a good draft, good final to run with into the career fair. That's more next week though. But still, that's what you need to work on. Really focus on that elevator pitch and the resume. The online introduction and your Foliotech identity page. Back burner, you need to do them, just kind of get in there, play around a little bit. It's not super important to have those cleaned up. Unless you want to have an online brand ready to go, and you don't, then you can work on it, but that's more for future for us to build throughout the class. All right. So with these online introductions, and just introductions in general, hold on. Yes, warms my soul. With introductions in general, things you want to keep in mind, you want to set yourself apart. So you don't want your introduction to sound like every other introduction that you get from. So if I'm at a career fair, and I've done this many times, and I have one person, I have the next person comes up and they introduce themselves to me, and then I write down some quick notes about that individual, and you'll see this happening all over. Sometimes they'll have cameras and record, sometimes they won't. But I'm going to write down things I remember that are interesting about that person. And if your story is boring and flat and just like everybody else's, then my comments about you aren't going to be that great. And when I go back and review the 50 resumes I got in a career fair, you're going to get passed over for the ones like, oh man, this is really interesting. This person did this, this, and this, and they shared this information with me, or they really had a good way of giving me their information, sharing their story. That is a winner. So you want to remember that it's not just what you do and where you're at in school. I'm a senior at the University of Missouri in the Strategic Communications Department in J School. They know that already. They're at the career fair. You don't need to tell them that. You need to tell them about who you are, what makes you tick, what values and characteristics you have that drive you, that make you an exceptional individual that brings that company value. because that company cares far more about who you are and the value you're going to bring to them than what you can get from the company. If you approach a company with the mindset of, I'm just trying to find a company that I can learn a lot at and can really help me out become a better strategic communication person, X, whatever that is, that company's not going to hire you because they're not going to pay you $50,000 a year for you to do what you want to do. You are an investment for that company, and they want to hire somebody that's going to provide them with value. So when you are presenting your pitch, your online introduction, or you're doing your elevator pitch, you have to be conveying how you are going to bring value to that company. That's what matters to them. So with your elevator pitch, one of the things that companies really care about is your value system, all right? They care about what, it's interesting. Okay, back up a little bit. I had a conversation with a friend of mine a couple weeks ago, maybe it was last week, and he is a hiring manager at one of the hospitals here in town. And he says to me, we're talking about hiring, and he says to me, my interviews are more conversational now. And he's like, because when the person's sitting across from me, when they make it to the spot of the table where we're interviewing them, I know they have the skills that they need to have in order to do the job. What I care about is what's going to happen when the pressure starts to kick in. What juice is going to come out when we squeeze them? When things get really hard, how are they going to react? So he cares about your underlying value characteristics, those deep-rooted things that are built into you. That's what employers really care about, because they want to make sure your values line up with their values. If there's a disconnect there, if that company values punctuality, and I know that kind of can seem lame, but let's say a company does value punctuality and you value flexibility, those two things might not be in line with each other, and so that might be a bad fit. Or there are some core values that all companies are going to want, like honesty, trustworthiness, hard work. Those are values that are just core values, I would say, that spread across every employer. I can't think of an employer that's going to be like, I can't wait to hire somebody who's not going to work hard. That's just not going to happen. So those are things that you want to come out in that elevator pitch. Your resume, as I said, I think I said this earlier, no grammar errors, please, no grammar errors in your resume. Make sure it's clean. And by clean, I mean the design is simple. It's not packed with a ton of information. Leave room for white space on the page. If you have a black and white resume, then make sure there's plenty of extra breathing room between all the black text. You don't want it to be overwhelmingly black, because that is it's hard to consume by the user, the person that's reading it. And then finally, with your resume, make sure your contact information is on there, and make sure it isn't some stupid email address like ilovedogs55@gmail.com. Make sure it's a professional looking email address. If you're including your LinkedIn profile or some other information for them to contact you, make sure it's very professional. I am going to open up probably a couple assignments. Take a look at those, and I'll talk through them to give you an idea of how we could tweak some elevator pitches that I received from you guys during the week. All right, we're going to start with Katie. Katie actually sent me a note and said I could use hers. So I'm going to read through it here, and we'll talk about what we might want to change. So hi, my name is Katie Laughlin. I'm assuming it's Laughlin, not Laughlin, which we had you in class. Then I would know. I'm currently a senior at Mizzou studying journalism with a strategic communications emphasis. It's something I kind of fell into. I have been involved with a lot of business and journalism organizations throughout high school and even the start of college. I was really torn between whether to go the more creative route or a business route. Once I got into J school, I found accounts and immediately knew that this is what I would be doing. It lets me flex my logistical and creative muscles. I am a super organized person. I live off spreadsheets. I also love diving into research and working to create a strategy that solves a problem. I couldn't ever just sit behind a desk because I love talking to people. All right, we're going to stop right there and let's break this down a little bit. Hi, my name is Katie Laughlin. That's good. They need to know your name. I'm currently a senior at Mizzou studying journalism with strategic communications emphasis. So the question is, will they know that you are a journalism major if they're at the StratCom career fair? Probably so. So might not be necessary to tell them you're studying at Mizzou because they know you're studying at Mizzou. And it might not be necessary to tell them you're a journalism major because they probably know that. You might want to tell them you're in StratCom, I don't know, just to be a little bit specific, but that extra information as we tighten this up might be unnecessary. The second part, it's something I kind of fell into. If I'm an employer and I'm looking for a StratCom student to work for me that's going to bring me value, I am not interested in knowing that you fell into this. Even though that might be the case, I want to hire somebody that didn't just stumble across their degree. I want to hire somebody that's like, man, they really know what they're doing. They have direction and focus and intentionality. And so I wouldn't tell my potential employer that I just kind of fell into this position. I do think it's good to emphasize some of the things you have here, that you've been involved with a lot of business and journalism organizations starting in high school. I think that's good. If you tell people that you started this sort of career path early on, that shows that you're committed to it. You're not bouncing back and forth. Like this statement here, it's something I kind of fell into. Lets me think, oh, you kind of like this, you aren't sure you like this, you've done a lot of other stuff, and now you're landing on this. So it's just not a very strong statement. Whereas I've been involved with a lot of businesses and journalism organizations through high school, and even the start of college lets me know, oh, this person is really focused on this kind of degree path. So then again, hear your statement, I was really torn between whether to go the more creative route or business route. I don't need to know that. I don't need to know that you are struggling with where you want to go and what future you have. I want to know that you know where you want to go and what future you have. So again, you want to have a strong stance. You want to present to that individual, I know who I am. This is my identity. This is who I am. And I'm not confused about it. Once I got into J school, I found accounts and immediately knew this is what I should be doing. This is good because you're letting me know what you are passionate about, but again, it still sounds like it's wishy-washy. Like, oh, I finally found what I wanted to do. Instead of, man, I started in high school and working with businesses and journalism organizations, and I loved it. And then tell me what you loved about it. That would be even better. If I could hear these two things are something that I'm super passionate about. So we get down a little bit further where you're talking about I'm super organized, love that. The fact that you live off spreadsheets, that's another way of communicating to me that not only do you work on spreadsheets, but you thrive. Like it's your jam. It's a go-to for you that you enjoy doing. So many times you can use words that let me know you are passionate about something like this, live off spreadsheets. I think it's a little awkward in how it's phrased, but I get the idea. Diving into research, working to create strategy that solves a problem, that too is awesome. So yeah, I love diving into research and working to create strategy that solves a problem. Those are important things for me as an employer to hear. I want to hear you're a good researcher. I want to hear you're a problem solver. But this statement right here, I couldn't ever just sit behind a desk because I love talking to people. You know what? I talk to people all day long, on the phone, in video conference calls. People come into my office. I enjoy talking to people most of the time. and I sit behind a desk. So I wouldn't let people, I wouldn't, you're taking yourself out of position here by saying, I don't want to do this, right? Instead, I love talking to people, right? You don't have to say I couldn't sit behind a desk. I love talking to people. So you're showing a love of communication and of caring for others, which is a value. You're showing your strategy side, so diving into research, solving problems, and you're showing this logistical and creative component and how you want to work on spreadsheets and things like that. So this is a good start. I would, refine it a little bit more. Thanks, Katie. Okay, let's go to somebody else. All right, let's take a look at your elevator pitch here, Derek. What do we got? Zoom in here. Okay. Derek's elevator pitch. In my schoolwork and my professional work as a marketing intern, I was involved in several aspects of public relations and marketing. I have extensive experience writing press releases, news stories, and feature stories. As a marketing intern, I was responsible for creating customer engagement by enhancing and maintaining the company's social media presence. This experience, combined with my experience as a student journalist at the Missouri School of Journalism, prepared me to succeed in this position you have available. Okay, there's some good stuff here and some stuff we can tweak. I do like the fact, Derek, that you aren't jumping into telling me that you're a major at the University of Missouri and what department you're in, because we already know that, right? You're emphasizing your skill set here. So in my work and my professional work as a marketing intern, I was involved in several aspects of public relations and marketing. So you're telling me what you do. I have extensive experience writing press releases, news stories, and feature stories. So this is a bit of communication. You're saying you're a good communicator, or at least you have experience communicating. Whether or not you are a good communicator is unknown. As a marketing intern, I was responsible for creating customer engagement by enhancing and maintaining the company's social media presence. Well, I have people that enhance and maintain my company's social media presence, and they could really suck at creating customer engagement. So I don't know what you did to create customer engagement, and what does it mean by enhancing. This experience, combined with my experience as a student journalist at the Missouri School of Journalism, prepared me to succeed in this position you have available. This part's awesome because you are showing me that you did research on my company and help me understand that, hey, I have a position available, and in theory, what you're telling me prior to that is letting me know that you are ready for that position that I have available. Your story, while not bad, doesn't tell me much about who you are and why you are doing what you do. It does, however, tell me that you have skills to do what you do, which isn't bad. I need to know you've got the skills. That's a part of this, but I would say the larger part needs to be why you are doing what you're doing. What makes you tick? Because remember, I care more about who you are than what you do. I'm assuming that if you're a senior graduating in this program, that you're going to be able to do what I need you to do. Just like everybody else that is in this class that is graduating. Or not in this class that's graduating. I was 300 probably graduating from the StratCom department. I don't know how many there are. I'm just guessing. Let's say there are. What makes you different than the other 300? So you need to set yourself apart by telling me who you are, and won't say less about what you do, but combining what you do with statements about who you are. So that's where I would run with this. And again, this part is good. Prepared me to succeed in this position you have available. I think that's super good. Should we look at one more? I think we should. Yeah, let's do one more. All right. And record. All right, let's see here. Derek, let's take a look at Max. Max's elevator pitch. Oh yeah, Max, you gave me a weird file type, so I actually have to download it. It's an RTF file. Probably did it on your Mac or something. Making my world hard, Max. No, just kidding. All right, I'm gonna zoom in on this a little bit. All right, Max, what do we have? I spent 5 years in college and ultimately finished with a master's degree, bachelor's degree, 2 minors, and 3 professional certifications, all to do something you don't even need a degree to do. Well, Max, sounds like you wasted a bunch of time. I don't know if as an employer I want to know you did that. Just saying. I think it's interesting because it does tell a little bit about who you are, that you're willing to invest a lot of time in one thing. You're headed down a certain path and you realize that might not be the path for you. So you were willing to switch directions. All right, let's go on here. I learned graphics design in high school and loved it. It was amazing to me to watch the vision that you've created come to life on a screen by your own hands. And after that, I knew I wanted to spend my career being a creator. Cool. Design is a skill-based career field. You don't necessarily need a bachelor's degree to pursue it, especially not a master's degree. However, it was never enough for me to be just the hands that executed something. If I was going to do something, I wanted to understand why I was doing it, and more than that, how to make what I was doing better. So I wanted to go to school. I wanted to be able to understand the end product I made, all the way from why we were using the media to why we formulated that strategy to why a client needed to come to an agency to begin with. Without understanding and knowing all these answers, you'd never be able to create something that was not only great, but the best possible version of itself as well. All right, that first paragraph makes way more sense to me now that I have read the last one. So there's a little bit of, it takes a while to get from here to here. So if this is an elevator pitch, this is a little long right here. So I would say, hey, I spent 5 years in school because I wanted to excel at a skill set that doesn't necessarily require a career. Somehow phrase that so you're emphasizing that this skill set, this thing that I want to do and I'm passionate about, that my love started early on in life. I could have just not gone to school, but I realized the importance of investing in myself and my education so that I could add value to you as an employer. So again, this is an opportunity for you to sell yourself to me as an employer by saying you're willing to put in work, hard work, and you've invested money so that you could become better and have a better skill set to offer me as a potential employer. So I would tweak that, I'd reword it, I would rephrase this so that it's somewhat, as I said, it's somewhat disconnected to get from here to here. This is good though. This is a little bit more creative than what I see oftentimes when I'm standing and doing these career fairs. Somebody comes up to me and they introduce themselves. I usually don't get, this is more of a story, right? This is what we're shooting for. We want a story. We don't want a talking head. I'm graduating. I have these skill sets. I want to learn from you kind of introduction. It's more, this is who I am. I'm a designer. I'm passionate about design, so much so I spent a lot of time in school honing my skills so that I could be an asset to your firm. All right, cool. Nice work. So that gives us a gist of three different elevator pitches that are good, right? And that's why a draft is so important, because when you get the draft, you can tweak it, you can refine it, and you can work it so that when you stand in front of that potential employer, you're ready to deliver it. And that's something I was hoping to do in our class next week, is have time practicing delivering those elevator pitches. I don't know if we'll have that time. We'll see. That gets us to our next topic, which is going to be a walkthrough of Foliotech to make sure you guys understand what we're doing in Foliotech. So let me go ahead and do that for you all. Okay, so this is a bit of a training video really on Foliotech and how you interact with it. So when you first come into the platform, you're going to go to a page that looks something like this. It's not going to have nearly as much information in it as mine does, but you'll come to a page that at least is empty, but it's on this particular icon in the top black bar. You need to make sure you go to the next icon over, which is the materials page, and you're going to have this tile and this tile. You're not going to have these two tiles. And this is where you'll be doing your work. So we go to knowing and translating what you know. Right now I only have one tile in there with all of the assignments in it for the semester. And you're like, well, it seems like not very many. And I remember in class last week somebody was like, man, there's a lot of assignments. That's because there are draft versions of each of these. So if we go to, for example, the online introduction, it opens up this page, and what you would do is you would type in your first draft here, which was due today, actually 11:59 p.m. last night. And then for this coming week, you're going to type in your draft and put it here. And then for the final, you'll put your final version in here. And after each time that you do a draft, you come to the right side here and you click this awesome submit button and you choose our class, Digital Identity Spring 2019. Click that button, click done, and that submits the work into my class. It obviously is warning me because I don't have anything in there, but you should have content in there before you submit it and you confirm the submission. And that's the case for all these different assignments. Slightly different for the elevator pitch. I thought it might be good for you to have that as a Word document. So instead of asking you to just type in a box, I thought your first draft you could upload here. So you would just click on this box and you click upload files and you would upload your draft. Or you can just click and drag that draft in as well. And then for next week, you would drop in draft 2, and then for the final, you would drag and drop in the final version. And again, each time after you do it, you hit the submit button, and you choose your community. I think you're only going to have one community to choose from. You click the check saying you're done, and you click the final submit to confirm the submission. So that's the way you submit all of your assignments. The only one you don't have to go through that submission process on is this Foliotech identity page assignment. And I think I even said that in the instructions. If you actually read through the instructions to submit this assignment, you don't have to do anything. Ta-da! I did say it. So for those of you that asked me that question, shame on you. You should have read it first. So with this assignment, I actually get this information in my community as you do it. So from my account, when I go in and look at the community, I see everybody in here, and I see who has worked on their identity page. Joseph here has done 73% of his, Abby's done 76%, Nora's done 76%. We're going to be improving those identity pages as we go, but I can quickly see who have not worked on their ID page, and oh sweet, everybody's done some work on theirs. So everybody's done work, so I click on that, who has worked on it, and I can easily go to like Max's ID page, click this, opens up in a new tab, and I can see what he's done so far. Look, he's already put his online introduction here. And we'll be tweaking this, as I said, as we go through class. So again, when you first log in, you're going to see this screen, and then you're going to go here, knowing and translating what you know, and here's your assignments that you're going to be doing through the class. These final 3 assignments are different. Don't mess with those yet. I haven't actually added in the details on them. As a matter of fact, I might hide them from your views so you can't even get in there and screw them up yet. Yeah. Other parts of Foliotech, so you're probably familiar now with your identity page. This is a professional brand for you to showcase to new hires. The value in it is you can show them projects you've worked on, and we'll be talking about how to actually create projects and the value in a project and demonstrating that to a potential employer. There's other websites out there that you may already have. Maybe you've got a WordPress site or a Wix site or something like that. That's totally awesome if you have those. What's different about this particular platform is that it gets at what an employer wants to see a little bit easier than having to sift through a whole website. So I can quickly see an introduction to who you are, and then I can quickly jump into some of your work, actual artifacts of your work that you can showcase to me that demonstrate your certain skill sets. So that's the bulk of Folio-Tech. This is the Manage Projects page, so you can actually have way more projects in it than what we're going to be doing in class. And we'll talk about you adding your own projects on your own at a later point in time. But that's a quick walkthrough of how to use Folio-Tech. All right, sweet. So we've covered a lot of things. The next portion that I was going to cover was in this video, was I was going to talk about personal brand. But I think because I put together the video, we'll talk about personal brand in next week's class. We'll do some career fair stuff, and then we'll talk about personal brand. Because I want to, instead of being a talking head in that, I want your feedback as we go through that process. I think it'll be better if we're engaged with one another instead of just me delivering that information to you for the next 20 or so minutes talking about brand. It'll be boring. So yeah, that's it for today. Thanks for watching this video. Hopefully you got something out of it. I'll probably spend the next freaking 6 hours trying to edit it all and get it all together so you guys can watch it before next Wednesday. That's it. Jeff out.